Good morning, friends. Good morning. How are you all? Welcome to your hump day, Wednesday. It is Wednesday, isn't it? Yes, I believe it is Wednesday. Today is the 10th, no, it's the 6th month of October 2021. This is the Checkin In podcast. My name is Binyam. Welcome. I'm glad to see you guys coming in here. I can see you guys. Yes, hello. Good morning. Yes, today is another episode. Hello on the YouTube, on the Instagram, and TikTok. Glad to spend the next few moments with you as we begin this hump day. Ali, I see my friend. Nice to have you again. Um, on this episode, like all other episodes, we have three primary areas that I like to focus on. And I do this, you might think, to help you out, but actually, in reality, I'm doing this for myself first. This is my way of self care, is applying myself to these self reflection questions so that I can consider how am I doing in these areas of my life. And these three areas are ones that I continue coming back to, focusing on, and utilizing to make sure I'm on a pathway that I resonate with. Make sure I'm in a stream where I'm like a hell yes to. Those three things, of course, as you regular listeners may know, are awareness of ourselves. How can I get to know myself more? What's good, man? Have a blessed day. Same to you, Mason. What is it's like to know myself better? That's a scary proposition for a lot of people because a lot of us we've got lots of work to do internally, and sometimes when you look internally and see the work that's necessary to get done, it's a bit daunting, it's a bit scary. And so what does that look like to even have some friends along the way who come alongside and say, let's do this together, let's encourage one another in getting to know ourselves? And the second piece is, how can we be patient and kind with ourselves as we go through these changes, as we apply ourselves to getting more aware of how we're shifting and changing over time? And then finally, of course, we like to pursue happiness to a great extent. And what does that look like? That's all here on the Checkin In podcast. Again, today, episode 68. Glad to have you. Today's question of the day that we are answering is a very simple one. What brings you joy? What brings you joy? So I can't wait to dive into this one here. Why should we even consider a question like this? What is the benefit of answering a question like this one today? Why should we spend time talking about or reflecting on things that bring us joy? I like this question because, once again, one of those questions having to do with our self care or well being. The more we reflect on things that mean something to us, the more we're able to be aware of what we need for ourselves in moving forward and how we apply ourselves to it. And a simple question like this one, what brings you joy, gets you thinking about those things that you value in life, those things that you want to experience more of, those things that you want to bring more focus to. In the absence of considering questions like this, we are one of the analogies I use often is we're like that leaf that's blowing in the wind. It's fall season right now. Leaves are in the air, blowing all about. But what does that look like? Hello, Taylor. Nice to see you. How are you? What does it look like for us to be mindful of those influences in our lives that come along the way? And where are those influences taking us? Where are we being shifted and pushed around to? The more awareness we bring to that, the more we are able to apply intentionally the pathway we want to be on, the more we can be more direct about what we want to experience. And it comes around with simple questions like this one. What brings you joy? The more we think about these kind of things, the more we're able to know right off the bat, here's what I find important. Here's where I want to invest myself. Here's what I want to value in my life. And so that's one of the reasons I find this question helpful. My dear Tate, nice to see you again. How are you? Welcome to everyone else, by the way. Thank you for coming in and being a part of the next few moments as we consider this simple question. It's a simple question that I would say sometimes when we see a very small question like this, a very short question, a very simple question, we might, hello, Lucas. Nice to see my friend Charlie. I got uni work to do. Any motivation? Charlie, I'm glad you're here. What can I encourage you? Oh, sometimes we have to make some hard calls. I'm not sure if procrastination is one of those, but consider what you could do by way of rewarding yourself. I like the reward system where I work towards something I really want to do. So maybe you want to watch a movie, or maybe you want to hang out with some friends. Place that as something you're going to work your way through all that procrastination, if it is procrastination. I've been there. My friend is tough. Doing great training at work. So I'm on a Zoom call, but I'm going to be selling soon. Oh, my amazing, Tate. I wish you amazing success in that. That would be amazing. I would probably say that selling is not my forte. Selling is definitely not my forte, but I try the best I can with the skills that I have while I apply myself to what really means a lot to me. But here, I was just mentioning before that a simple question, such as the one we're answering today, what brings joy? When we see the simplicity of such questions, sometimes we are tempted to think that it is not as important of a question just because it just seems so small and insignificant, and it can be easily answer the question just like that. But may I suggest that sometimes it's these very simple questions that give us the opportunity to dive deep into some really significant stuff about ourselves in the awareness category. We start being aware of some really heavy things along the way. And so when we consider questions like this, don't let it fool you sometimes the importance of those questions. Those small questions, sometimes those questions that only have a few words to them could be that catalyst that takes you down a pathway where you increase in massive awareness of who you are and why you are the way you are. And so consider that even uh, as we go forward in answering this question here. Charlie says you should consider ASMR. Thank you, my friend. I take that as a compliment, and I dare say that hmm, I've had that encouragement before, and I'm thankful I have a voice like that. If you check out Ben Asmer, Ben Asmer narrations on Spotify, for example, you'll see me trying my luck at reading an audiobook. And so I'm still in the midst of reading the book. It's just, yeah, I need to apply myself to giving it some more time. But I'd like to serve you guys that way who appreciate my voice. But I'm so thankful I have a voice that, from what I hear, is calming, that is soothing, that is pleasant to listen to. I'm very thankful for that. Thanks for the encouragements, Charlie. So, what brings you joy? Let me look at the word joy. How would you guys define joy? What would you guys say about the word joy and how you understand it? And another follow up question to that is, what do you think is the difference between joy and happiness? Are they synonymous? Do they mean the same thing? Or do they have a different nuance? I was wondering about that. And before I came on to the recording today, I did just a brief search on the internet just to find out what does it say about the contrast between joy and happiness. I found some of it kind of helpful, kind of helpful. I'm not sure if I'm really on the same track, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So here's what I found in reference to the difference between the two. There seems to be a distinction that some draw between joy and happiness. So for joy, some would say joy is a state or condition, whereas happiness is more of an emotion. Okay, so there's a state or condition versus an emotion of happiness that some feel. Now, I'm just processing this and I'm just trying to figure out if it sounds compelling. I'm not quite sure yet. Furthermore, it says joy is more of a constant state that one can be in, whereas happiness is more temporary and it kind of depends on some external factors. Maybe you got uh, gifted a Lamborghini. Oh man, can you imagine the happiness that the recipient of a Lamborghini would be feeling? They would be feeling super happy, ecstatic, right? But then over time, that Lamborghini may become sort of like normal part of their life, right? They're like, okay, moving on, kind of thing. I know that's been my experience. For example, when I've gotten something tangible like a new laptop, I'm like super happy. This is exciting. It makes me happy. It's a temporary experience, but then over time, that laptop loses its excitement for me, and I just use it as a tool, or I take it for granted. And so along those lines, I can understand the happy experience that can be temporary, a temporary emotion that is caused from my environment or from external factors. Whereas joy, and this is why I'm kind of appreciating this distinction here, but I'm not sure if it still holds. I have to give myself time to think about this more, but I kind of like what they're talking about here. They say joy is more of a state or condition that's constant and it's internal and it doesn't necessarily depend from circumstances in your environment. So joy, the distinction there, as I understand it, is it's more of a deep-seated emotion that one experiences that they kind of feed off of in a way that isn't as it's not as um, easily affected by external parameters. So, for example, let's see if we can consider a couple of examples to help me flesh this out. Consider here's one. Consider traveling to a third world country. Now, I've heard this experience often from those who travel to a third world country. And as they go there, they may go on some endeavor. Let's say there was a drought in a region in some third world country. And so you join this group of volunteers to this third world country to be able to help them out. You want to help with the relief efforts. And along those lines, you are expecting that your presence there is going to be encouraging to the people there. You're going to bring them hope. You're going to bring them the sense of you're not alone. And you're going to bring resources with you that are going to actually help these folks move a little bit further ahead in their experience. Let's say that's the dynamic. Um, as you're going there, this is what I've heard again from reports of many that I've chatted with who have been in this experience. When they go there, they expect that they're going to be a huge, massive. Hi, Jillian. They're going to be a huge, massive encouragement to these folks on the ground there. But what tends to happen is that these very people that are going to serve and help out. Hey, how are you, CT? As they're going to help out in these places and as they're expecting to bring a lot of encouragement and hope to these people, what really happens, however, is that these folks um, who are going to help end up being the ones who are blown away by encouragement, by inspiration, by the sense of bafflement, like they're totally confused. They were the ones coming to bring in some massive encouragement, but they're the ones who ended up being far more affected by way of encouragement because as they're in the midst of helping and building and cleaning and clearing and all the stuff that they're doing, as they're giving of themselves sacrificially and voluntarily, I love fishing talk, as they're doing all these things, what their experience has been is that the people that they're helping, they observe something that blows their mind. These folks who have nothing, these folks who are poorer than those who are coming to help them, these individuals who live there, these folks who are right in those settings, as they are being helped, they are also expressive in their generosity. They are giving from their poverty and they give lavishly. So they'll invite these people who are coming to help. They'll say, "Come on into our homes for dinner." And so these people are like, "Okay, we'll do that because we're trying to be kind and gracious." And so they come into these poor homes where they don't even have like a clean floor. It's just like a dirt floor, right? They're watching that they don't have any beds. They just kind of sleep all together in the corner, for example. And they're seeing them pull out of their drawer the last bit of food that they have. They prepare this really, I mean, this is the last of what they have, and they prepare that and share it generously with their guests. These people who are from affluent contexts, and those people from those affluent contexts who are coming to help, they are blown away. They can't understand how they could be so free and so expressive in the way that they're sharing with of their resources. It blows their mind away. And the biggest thing in all of that these folks who are coming in to help walk away with inspired is the amount of joy that these individuals have. And that joy that they have is joy that is deeply set into their souls in such a way that they have nothing. They have nothing. I mean, they'd be super happy, yes, if these folks brought them a vehicle, or if they brought them a cow, or they brought them a brand new home or something. That'd be like amazing. But there's something more tangible at the very heart of their existence where there's this joy, regardless of circumstances, regardless of the fact that they have nothing in their lives, basically nothing. Yet the little that they have, they are very open to sharing with their guests who are coming from affluent places, who are coming with resources, and those folks from those affluent places are just blown away by this expressive, lavish joy that is on display. And so I wonder if that isn't something closer to the heart of what might be at this distinction between happiness and joy, and how those who have joy have it far more deep seated inside of them in such a way that it is able to be expressed even when the world around them seems to be falling apart. And if that's the case, that's the kind of joy that I want us to be considering in this podcast. What brings you joy? That deep seated sense of, the world may be falling apart around me, but here is the things that bring me joy. Here's the things that I sustain myself on by way of, this is good, this is beautiful, this is happy for me. What does that look like for you? Well, let me share with you some of my thoughts on that. What brings me joy? The kind of joy that is unaffected by circumstances around me. So let's say things are falling apart in my world, economically, for example. Let's say, hey, Reese, let's say further that I've lost my job. Let's say that some close friends of mine have broken trust with me, and so I'm not quite sure if I can trust them. I'm just trying to make this as bleak of a setting as I can for me, so that I can get to the heart of what joy might look like. What joy might look. Hello, Reese. I see Reese going from the TikTok to the to YouTube, and then I anticipate there he is on Instagram. Hello, Reese. Good to see you. I love how you do that. You're encouraging too. And hello, Kobe. I see you as well, my dear friend. So I I'm trying to paint as bleak as a picture for myself as I can, so that I'm moving away from what happiness based on external circumstances look like. I mean, it's easy for any of us, I think, to be happy when things are going well, right? When your business is doing well, when your schooling is going fantastic, when you have your friendships are just on point and life seems to be good, right? There's that I can understand. But no, I'm aiming for something a little bit more specific. When everything that can be encouraging in my life is going wrong, what are those traces? What are those resources of joy that I experience at a deep level? And I think for me, what that would be is a couple of things that I already value, a couple of things that I'm super grateful for. The things that bring me joy are that I am able to, at this time, this season in my life, after decades of not being able to, I'm able to be consistent in the person that I am. I've been able to get to this place where I'm consistent. The Biniam that is looking at himself in the mirror can actually see himself and say, hey, we're all right. We're good because we are consistent. We're transparent with in an honest way with our world around us and the way we're thinking internally. Whereas once upon a time, I was struggling to try and understand how can I present myself in a way whereby I can still feel like I'm giving the how can I say, I still feel like I am being honest with those that I'm interacting with. I didn't have access to that. So a real source of joy for me is that I can speak my mind now. I can speak my convictions. I can speak my um my perspectives without fear of what others will think about me. And I really, really appreciate that. It takes not having something for me to really enjoy having it. Does that make sense? When something is missing in my experience, I'm like, oh, I would like to have that. I do that when, for example, I see someone who's missing a limb, for example, and they're like trying to make it through life, right? I'm like, man, I'm really thankful I have my limbs. I was watching this really amazing individual on TikTok, I think recently, or Instagram. Anyway, I was watching him on some platform, and this guy does not have any legs. He has no legs, so he gets by with his arms, but he's able to like do some pretty amazing things with his arms, like from mobility to like push-ups, like not push-ups, like pull-ups. That's what I meant to say. A whole bunch of things that he's worked really hard to get to the point of being able to express, and I love seeing that. That's really cool. But even as I watch him, I'm like, how can I appreciate my legs more today because I have them, right? And so it's taking note of those things that I don't have that I do have access to. And for me now, I'm just in this mental space that I feel is really healthy, really on point. I'm able to have this intuitive access to asking some good questions that enables me to always feel like I'm on point in the way that I'm interacting and engaging with my world. That brings me tremendous joy that I have access to this mind that enables me to enjoy life regardless of the season it is, even in the midst of challenging times like I was experiencing this past month. I didn't have any guarantees that it was going to go well. Nope, no guarantees at all. And yet, in the midst of that, I was still able to be present in that moment with discomfort, with the uncertainty, with the fact that I was not in control. And man, I like being in control. I don't know if you're like me, but I like being in control. But even in the midst of that season, I was okay. I felt okay. I felt okay because I was choosing intentionally to be in that space, in that frame of mind, experiencing what that was like when it's not going my way. And that brings me tremendous joy, even in the midst of worrying about the unknown, even in the midst that I don't have any guarantees that it's going to go well. Really appreciate that. Something else that brings me tremendous joy, my dear friends, is that in the way I connect with people socially, relationally, friendship or not, I really appreciate that I'm in a place where I can communicate my feelings, my expectations, my boundaries, my hopes, my desires. I like that I can express those now. And I mention that as a point that brings me joy because I didn't always have access to that. Once upon a time, I was in another zone where I felt like I had to give people what their expectations or thoughts of what was important was. And so that's where I felt I once was. But I'm not there anymore, thankfully. I'm so thankful for that. Really thankful. That means a lot for me going forward now that I'm able to have that two-way street by way of communication. It doesn't always mean it's going to go well. Some people will be like, "Nope, I'm not interested in what you're offering or what you stand for," and that's okay. I find a tremendous sense of joy that whether I'm loved and accepted or whether I'm rejected and saying with others saying no thanks, I'm thankful. There's a sense of joy there that says, this is okay. Both end does not give me my sense of worth. I'm so thrilled that my sense of worth is unattached to who I am and how people are responding to me. That is a fantastic thing that brings me joy. And then a follow up to that is I also do appreciate that in the connections that I do have, there's that sense of um, there's that sense of connection that is healthy and good. I am so joyful that when I connect with people and the sense that uh, it strikes, a chord that it strikes for me that is like, hell yes, it's like this two-way street. I'm super thankful that those relationships are good, that I can talk to them about stuff that may come up by way of conflict or by way of misunderstandings or what have you. And in being able to do that, I'm so joyful that we have that stability of connection, of engagement, of interaction. That is super joyful for me that I get to experience that. And I have access to that because I've learned how to communicate about it. So you're seeing how I really am joyful about these things, that despite whether it's going good or whether it's going really discouraging, I still have a way of navigating through them. And that for me is a sense of joy that is unaffected by the outcome of whatever it is I'm working through. For example, I may be like interacting with a friend, let's say a point of conflict came up that we have to talk our way through. And as we're talking and processing through it, it becomes clear and evident that this friendship may not be able to continue because we have different perspectives or different commitments or different values. Whatever the scenario is, it becomes clear that we may have to part company. That's a sad thing. That does not bring me happiness. I like being able to go deep in my friendships. However, I'll answer your question in just a sec, Bomb the Beast. However, I find that sense of joy that I have access to be able to get to that conclusion in a way that communicates respectfulness and kindness and civility. Um, Amicability, like all these things are really important in the way I connect with people. That brings me tremendous joy. I am so thankful for that experience that enables me to gauge the worth of those connections. Opinion on the LGBTQ is the question from Bomb the Beast. I'm guessing you're wondering if I'm okay with it or not. For my part, yeah, like they're people who have their experiences and they want to express from their point of here's how they see the world, and they would like the respect to be acknowledged for where they're at instead of being told that they're wrong for feeling that way, right? So, yeah, I'm a supporter of that community for sure. I don't discriminate against them. I don't know the experience of being one in that community because I'm straight, but I guess I am more than happy to be an ally in talking with them and hearing their perspectives and hearing their ideas and engaging with them that way. So I hope that answers your question, Bomb the Beast. Thank you for the question. Joy. Yes, we're talking about joy at the very heart of it. And with joy, for me, I do appreciate that distinction between joy and happiness. Joy meaning what's the deeper sense in your experience of what it looks like to navigate through the world. Thanks for your opinion. You're welcome, Bomb the Beast. Yeah, what does it look like to be able to experience that joy that when your world seems to be falling apart, you still have access to this foundation. It's like a ballast of sorts in your soul that continues to give you hope, that continues to feed you with that desire to see opportunity in your future when there may seem to be none. In contrast to happiness, which may be, as we were talking about earlier, based more on what one is experiencing in the moments. Whether they got something, whether they're hearing something, like those experiences in life that are more temporary, that we can experience that tremendous sense of yay in the moment, as opposed to one that's like, life is good or life is bad right now in my experience, but there's this joy that I have access to because it's untouched by these external temporary evolutions and developments in life. That's my attempt at answering this question. I'd love to hear your thoughts along the way in the comments. But yeah, it's a really helpful question to consider because it gets one thinking about where they're investing themselves, the things that bring happiness, the things that enable them to find this life worthwhile. It's a pretty fantastic privilege to be able to think through things like this, because in doing so, we're taking the time to say, hey, what does it look like to be me? And where can I invest myself in those places that bring me value? I'm so thankful that you're spending time with me here on this podcast. Even as we think through these things together, I'm hoping it serves you as well to be able to get to know yourself a little bit better and then know which way you're going to go in life. Why are you choosing this decision over this decision? Why do you value this one over this one here? What does that tell you about yourself, that this is the pathway you wanted to choose to go on? These are all really important questions, I think, because in answering them, we grow in awareness of ourselves. Secondly, we're able to learn how to observe shifts and change in our lives. And as we do so, to apply kindness to ourselves, saying, hey, we're a growth in process, and that's okay. That's okay. That's actually what it means to be human. And then finally, what does it look like for us to experience massive happiness? I love happy settings. Not the happiness, again, that's temporary, like we're talking about, but that kind of joy that's deeper, where it's unaffected by the outward evolutions of our experiences, but it's more deeper because of the values, because of the hopes, because of the things that we find we value that don't shift very easily. And for me, you guys are one of it. You guys are one of it. I really am joyful for these moments to share my experiences and thoughts with you guys. Friends, I will be back again tomorrow for the 69th episode of the Checkin In podcast. In the meantime, I would love to encourage you to check out my website, BennyMasters.com. That's my handle on all of these ones here, BennyMasters.com. And consider if you'd like to come alongside and help you in some way in your evolution of becoming a better version of you. Have a fantastic hump day. I look forward to touching base tomorrow. Bye for now.